In this tutorial, we're going to look at creating SolidWorks assemblies. We will look at creating assemblies from SolidWorks models by importing them into the assembly environment. We will use the Assembly Mates tool to put models together as if they were on the table in front of you. We will then look at creating animated exploded views of the assembly. Select File and New from the pull-down menu. Click on the assembly box and select OK. In the Assembly Manager, you can see a list of the files currently open in the Part Assembly to Insert box. Parts can be selected from here, or you can choose Browse to select parts which are currently closed. The first part inserted into the assembly is fixed, and this should be the main assembly component. The choice of how you put together assemblies is yours. You can insert all the components in one go and then assemble them, or insert and assemble components one at a time. Start off by inserting the drive shaft. The next component to insert into the assembly is the anti-rotation key. Click on Insert Component from the Assembly menu and select the key from the Part Assembly to Insert box. Drag the key into the graphics area and left click to place. The key can be accurately inserted into the drive shaft slot using the Mates tool. Click onto Mate. In the dialog box that opens, select the entities to mate. This will require some rotation and manipulation of the models. The first entities to mate are the bottom face of the slot and the corresponding face of the key. Select these faces. The dialog box which opens will specify the recommended mate to add, in this case coincident. If you are happy with that, select OK. Next, choose the cylindrical face of the slot and the cylindrical face of the key. This time the recommended mate is concentric. The key will now rotate in the slot. Add the final mate between the side face of the key and the corresponding face of the key slot. The recommended mate is again coincident. Click on the tick and that's the key inserted into the slot. Exit the Mate tool and return to an isometric view. The key is now fixed in the slot and cannot move. Select Insert Components and choose the spur gear. Left click to place the gear in the graphics area and select Mate. In Entities to Mate, select the cylindrical gear bore and the corresponding shaft face. The recommended mate is concentric. Select OK and OK again. Drag the gear along the shaft so the key slot is visible. Zoom in on the gear face. Select Mate and choose one of the side faces of the key slot in the gear. Zoom out and rotate the model, and select the corresponding face of the key. This time the recommended mate is coincident. The final mate for these two components is to fix the gear laterally on the shaft. Select the back face of the gear and the shoulder face of the shaft. The mate is coincident. Select OK and OK again. The gear is now fixed in place and cannot move. Next, insert the washer into the assembly. Select mate and choose the inside cylindrical face of the washer and one of the cylindrical faces of the shaft. The recommended mate is concentric. Select OK and OK again. Drag the washer along the drive shaft, back into mate. Choose the front face of the gear and the back face of the washer. Switch back to an isometric view to check the mate is OK. If you're happy with that, select OK and OK again. The last component to insert into the assembly is the nut. Add a coincident mate between the face of the washer and one of the faces of the nut. Then a concentric mate between the drive shaft and the nut. If you are happy with that, select OK and OK again. With the components assembled, we can now think about producing an exploded view. The components should be exploded in the same order that they would be disassembled. Select Exploded View from the Assembly menu. In the Explode Manager, start off by selecting the component to explode. Next, choose the explode direction. And the distance. Select Apply, and if you're happy with that, select Done. Or alter the distance to something else. The first exploded step appears in the Explode Manager. Right-click to edit or even delete if required. The next step is to explode the washer. Click on Component to explode and select the washer. Select the explode direction and the distance. Select apply and done. Repeat the process for the gear. And finally, the anti-rotation key. The 4 exploded steps are displayed in the Explode Manager. Click OK to exit and right-click the assembly name at the top of the Feature Manager design tree. The assembly can be collapsed, exploded, or even animated.